Didn't have the right camera switched on. Oh, God. Probably turn it off. Hang on. Why am I on AC/DC? Oh, this is a bad start. It's meant to be. Hang on. I'll go and have a look and see which channel it's streaming on YouTube. God, I was just washing my car. About to wash my car. So which channel it's streaming on mute. Okay. So for some reason I'm getting this StreamYard. StreamYard's giving me my my AC/DC logo, not my Smooth Criminal one. I don't know how to fix that. Hi, Kylie. How you doing? Just in StreamYards at the moment, mucking around trying to get rid of the... Nope, that's not it. I was trying to get rid of the AC/DC logo, but never mind. Never mind. It's still me, so that's okay. I'm good, Kylie. How are you? I'm trying to learn. I think I'm going to have to upgrade to StreamYard if I want to go live using StreamYard. I'm excited, though. This is my first Smooth Criminal live. But I think I'm going to have to upgrade if I want to use more logos or banners or anything by the looks of it. I can't work out how to get rid of AC/DC, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. It's still me. I guess I'm plugging my other channel while I'm on this one. Can always look at it that way. Minor issue, really, at the end of the day. So, no, well, I was in northwestern Tassie for the last few days for work, and I got home yesterday and it was actually really hot, and I went for a beautiful walk on the beach this morning as well. But it's sort of shifting now. There's a cold breeze coming in. I've got my the doors to my deck are wide open at the moment. I should have probably closed them a little bit because there's kind of not a howling gale, but there's quite a breeze coming in. But I'd love rain. I'd love it. I'm on tank where I live, and my tank is getting a bit low. It's kind of almost at the point that I need to get it topped up. I love storms. My place is so cozy when there's a storm. It's but because it's on stilts, it moves around a little bit. If this house is rocking, don't bother knocking. I'm glad you got a good storm though, but send the rain down this way because, yeah, our tanks need filling up. It's not that expensive to fill. Well, they never fill them because they don't know the level when you book in, but they put about, I think they put about 7,500 litres sometimes, and sometimes they put, depending on the size of the truck, sometimes 12,000 litres. My tank is a 24,000 litre tank. And for 7,500, you pay about $80. Right. Well, it looks like it's just you and me anyway. There's a couple of people watching but not chatting. So I was just getting all my bits and pieces together to go down and wash the car. And I need to do an update on Tatiana Jefferson and also Joshua Brown. I'm way behind on both of them. And I just went onto one of my news pages to see if there are any updates on there, and there's another shooting, fatal shooting in Texas, and this time the victim is an Australian. So I couldn't not have a look at it. Texas. I'm probably going to end up having all these Texans angry with me, but it just seems insane what's going on in Texas at the moment. I did a quick sort of scout around and found a few different stories, but I'm just going to go with the one I've got up on my screen. That's another thing I've got to learn to do is screen sharing and stuff like that. But I'm just going to give you the details. I am going to follow this case. I was very interested in and followed quite religiously the Justine Dumond murder. That was the police officer, Mohammed Noor, who shot and killed her after she called the police thinking that someone was being sexually assaulted in a laneway behind her house. And she ran out to the car into the street in her pajamas, and this police officer just shot her. I also followed the case, I don't know if you remember it, of Chris Lane, an Aussie guy who, pardon me, there's so much pollen. The coastal wattles along my fence line that I'm highly allergic to are in full bloom right now. So I'm going to have to start taking cetrizine or something before I go live. Chris Lane was the Aussie who went to the States on a sports scholarship and was going for a jog, and 3 kids just decided they'd do a drive-by shooting. That was horrible. Of course, this year too, the 2 kids that were on the run in Canada, they shot an Aussie guy, Lucas Fowler, and his girlfriend. But the latest Australian who's been shot dead is a guy called Brenton Estorffe, aged 29, married to an American. She's got a really pretty name, and I don't want to mess it up, but I think it's Angeliana, perhaps. It's spelled like Angel and then E-A-N-N-A. And they had 2 young children as well, Asher and Eliana. And they live in Fort Bend County, which is near Houston. But essentially what happened was there was a home invasion. There were 2 men who were breaking into Brenton Estorffe's home, the family home, and he confronted them. They'd broken through a window at around midnight on Wednesday. He confronted them and was shot and killed fatally, with his wife and 2 children asleep upstairs. Brenton Estorffe's devastated father told 9 News that they can't believe it. They're actually making plans now to go to America. The father said he was the one that fought off the intruders. He fought 2 of them away to protect his wife and kids, and unfortunately he passed away doing it. Brenton Estorffe described as a cheeky, smart, intelligent, honest, sincere person. So, in the wake of Botham Jean, Joshua Brown, Tatiana Jefferson, and now this shooting, there's people that, for all intents and purposes, were just getting on with their lives, losing their lives at the hands of people that have got guns. And there's this time 2 home invaders. And obviously family was very important to him because he died trying to protect them. So apparently the intruders fled the home because obviously the gunshots would have alerted neighbours, and apparently neighbours did in fact run to the home. There's CCTV footage apparently from the street. There might be some neighbourhood cameras and things like that. Brenton Estorffe moved to the US in 2011 to follow his dream of playing in the National Football League. So that's how he ended up in the States, where he obviously met his wife and got married and had 2 children. But this is so sad. You've got this homeowner in Fort Bend County who's gone, a father with 2 small children. It's incredibly sad. The sheriff, Troy Nehls, N-E-H-L-S, Nehls, he told local media the shooting happened extremely quickly and the suspects fled immediately afterwards. It's kind of unfortunate too, because obviously Halloween's coming up in America, and this family had decorated their home, and there's actually a very bloody, gory kind of stabbing silhouette in one of the windows of the house, which has just now got a really sinister kind of feel about it because of what happened in the home. The police also say they don't have any details of a vehicle or a description to release at this time. They probably do, and obviously they're not releasing it because, don't give the criminals a heads up. Mr. Estorffe was not armed either, by the way. This wasn't a case of 2 dudes with a gun and he's come down with a gun and it's been a full-on shootout. He wasn't armed. And also he had actually called the police right before he was killed. They got a call just after midnight saying someone had broken a window in the back of his home in Glen Rosa Drive. And, unfortunately the cops didn't get there before he'd lost his life. Brenton Estorffe's brother Coben, who also lives in Texas, is also grieving, and he said, "Life will never ever be the same without you. Hands down, you're my hero. The way you stood up for your family. Can only dream to be a little bit like you. Thanks for the amazing times we had together. Miss you and love you so, so much, Brenton." One of the neighbours, Kimberly Patel, told a TV station that she recently met the family for the first time when they moved into the area. She said, "I can't even imagine what the wife is going through right now." She also said there are some issues in the area from time to time, but never expected anything like this. She said it's a kind of neighbourhood that's quiet where you leave your doors unlocked, so it's pretty shocking, to be honest. And at the time of his death, Brenton Estorffe was working at a rental car company in Texas. So that's that article. There may obviously be more. I'll jump back over into chat. Just the four of us. That's all right. And Kylie's the only one talking. Yeah, I'm with you. It's pretty scary. The sort of, I mean, not just the amount of the fact that there's more guns in America. I find that a fairly frightening statistic. But these stories that just keep breaking about shootings, and Texas, unfortunately, is the one that continues to be where these crimes are happening more prevalently than anywhere else. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that we're not getting news of every shooting that happens in America. Obviously, this story made our news because of the Australian connection, but we also got news about Botham Jean and Tatiana Jefferson and Joshua Brown. It just feels like Texas is having a very bad year, a very bad time. And I'm sure there are other states, you know, if you sat down and went through all the states of America statistically in terms of fatal gun deaths, there's probably other states where more are happening, but it just seems that Texas is either getting all the high profile ones or things are just really bad in Texas right now. I mean, I would love it. I would love a Texan to join in and, you know, sort of give us a Texan perspective. We had Red Lotus in one of my lives the other day who lives in Texas talking about a Tatiana Jefferson. So that was really good to get some insight. I'm just going back to my notes about a Tatiana Jefferson because I've got the actual, hang on, it's in my other notebook. Give me a second. I'm going to describe the gun laws or the gun ownership sort of position. I want to get it right. So Texas is what is known as a castle doctrine state. It's also called a stand your ground state. And in Texas, it's a concealed carry and an open carry state. So I know that the states vary in terms of the carry aspect, the open carry and the concealed carry. But, yeah, just another senseless death. A father and a brother who are absolutely in shock and can't believe it happened, and a mother and two young children now without a dad and a father. And this guy was defending his home. Two people with guns broke a window and got into the house. Brenton Estorffe called the police. But before the police managed to get there, he had confronted them and unfortunately lost his life in the process. Neighbours heard guns going off. The two home invaders fled the scene and as yet have not been caught. But that article I just read did say that there's CCTV footage that's been looked at as well. So hopefully they're going to find the car, which was probably stolen. I hate to be a cynical person, but I'll just go and have a look and see if The Guardian has any more details. So he, according to The Guardian, he went to investigate after the window was broken. Wife and children were still left sleeping upstairs, and the window was at the rear of his house. It's the town of Katy near Houston. This was about midnight on Wednesday. His children are aged 1 and 3. And they're now without a father, and their mother is without a husband. Police investigations are centering around a vehicle that was seen speeding from the area. And yeah, essentially the police sheriff summed it up by saying you hear glass breaking, you're startled, you get out of bed, and then within just a few seconds there's gunfire and you're dead. They don't think any valuables were taken from the home. Then after the shooting, his wife, Angeliana, called 911 to report the home invasion. I mean, this is just so sad. He was originally from Mooloolaba on the Queensland Sunshine Coast. He moved to the US in 2011 to play American football and study at South Virginia University. And he'd been working for the Enterprise car rental company in Texas. This article's got more info than I had before. Obviously, yeah, the brother is devastated. And this Brenton Estorffe's the third Australian to be shot and killed in North America in just over 2 years. Oh, okay, so they're including Lucas Fowler, who was shot in Canada with his girlfriend China Dees, if you remember that, the two teenagers in Canada that then went on to kill another guy and then were on the run and found dead. They did like a joint suicide-y kind of weird ending. Then there was Justine Dumond in July 2017, who was shot dead in Minneapolis by police officer Mohammed Noor. He was convicted of third-degree murder and sentenced to 12 and a half years prison. And then there's also the case of Christopher Lane, who was going for a jog. I think he was 2015 though. So I guess that's 4 Aussies in 4 years. Just Google Chris Lane to check what state that was. Oklahoma, I think. Yeah, Duncan, Oklahoma. Yeah, so he was the one who was going for a jog and 3 guys in a car did a random drive-by shooting. They just decided they wanted to shoot someone, and that was a really horrible case as well. So there you go. It's just you and me chatting, Kylie. We've got a couple of lurkers. G'day, lurkers. Say hi if you want to. Hit the thumbs up, Kylie. Yeah, so many shootings. It is horrible. And, yeah, you can walk around town with guns legally. And I'm pretty sure when I chatted to Red Lotus the other day, because it's concealed carry and open carry, you can have your gun, you know, like clipped to your belt sort of thing, which I would find that really strange. Just like if I went to the shops to get my groceries and there's people walking around packing heat and it's on their, you know, clipped onto their jeans. But, yeah, some pretty sad news. And I really feel for the peeps of Texas because the state's just having a bad run. And there may be other states, like I said earlier, that have more shootings than Texas. It just seems the most prolific or high-profile shootings in recent times have all been in Texas. Hey, that's I believe that too. That's brilliant. Chris Rock, make bullets $5,000 each. Yep, that's gold. Because I've been meaning to do a chat about guns in America for a while. I probably could have. I may, in hindsight, I should have gone live on my other channel with this one, but that's okay. Smooth Criminal is the smallest, least known channel on YouTube at the moment, and I'm happy for it to stay that way. But when I went live the other day talking about a Tatiana Jefferson, I'd really like to do a phone in and get some Americans to call in with ideas. And this one about Chris Rock is brilliant. What a great idea. There'd still be a shitload of ammunition out there though, wouldn't there? But even so, I guess the only problem with doing something like now, I'm being all devil's avocado, but I guess the problem with doing something like that is then there would be black market bullets floating around. People would find ways to get them into the States. Because I'm I'm not an Australian who thinks America should do what happened here after the Port Arthur massacre. I don't think a gun buyback is going to be remotely effective in America because, firstly, there's more guns than people. And secondly, it's a constitutional right that they have to bear arms. And I know constitutions can be amended, but I think that proposing that would be fruitless. Bringing in a whole heap of laws and regulations, they've done that and it hasn't worked. So my feeling on it was, and I think Red Lotus was saying it too the other day, is one of the solutions is, unfortunately, to just ramp up security to the max, have gun-free areas but have armed guards on the outside. People have to go through security screening. They have to, sort of leave their gun at the door, so to speak, and it gets put in a locker until they leave. And that would apply for everywhere. They're going to have to go nuts with security. That, to me, seems to be the only way they can at least create some gun-free zones. And yes, some idiot will probably still manage to get through that. But if the majority of the people are having to declare their guns before entering a sports stadium, nightclub, shopping centre, school, whatever it might be, then that will reduce some of it. But then you've got all the people with guns walking around in the streets and taking pot shots or, running into buildings and office buildings where they used to work and they've still got swipey cards, so they've got access. So it's full on. I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. But it has just become a fact of life. It's crazy, isn't it, Kylie, the length you have to go to? And I agree. It's really, to me, the thought of just waking up in America and knowing that you're just going about your day and you could get shot and killed, or a member of your family or somebody that you know. I mean, I'd be curious to chat to someone too about the reality of living in the States with all the guns. Like, is it just not in your thoughts because you just know they're part of your culture? Do you just get on with your day or are people wary? Like, I've got a gorgeous girlfriend who lives in Hawaii and she's lived in different states. Her husband's in the military, US military, and she's lived in quite a few different states, including Florida. And some really major shootings were happening in Florida when she was living there. I mean, nowhere near there, but she kept saying, come and visit. I've got this beautiful house by the beach. And I was just like, I don't want to go there because I'm the sort of person, I get attracted to crowds. I go to music festivals. I go to sporting matches. I don't really care about shopping so much, but I tend to be the go out and see a tourist attraction or, wherever there's crowds, I'm usually, which is weird because I actually don't like being in a crowd unless it's at a music festival or a sporting match. But they moved to Hawaii, and so I went over there because I felt safer to go there. Like, it actually impacted my decision was where they were actually living. But if I went to mainland America, I wouldn't go to music festivals. I wouldn't go to sporting matches. I wouldn't go to open plazas where there's heaps of people and a bus can be driven straight through the middle of it. You know what I mean? Hi, Beth M. How are you? Seems like the cops are not following procedure. Shoot first out. Exactly, and that's definitely with the Tatiana Jefferson. I mean, did you see the girl that they arrested for her murder, the cop, Aaron Dean? Holy hell, he looks like an evil piece of shit. But that's going to be a really fascinating case to follow, and I will be following it. I will be doing an update on it, Tatiana Jefferson, at a later date. I'm still writing it because I've got a few things that I want to throw out there for us to contemplate. But one of them is with Aaron Dean being charged with murder. You beauty. So happy about that. And the sneaky prick resigned before he was charged and has now refused to speak about it. But to me, Amber Geiger's sentence was way too low. Has this set a really dangerous precedent? Or are they going to look at this one as being very different? Because at least with, and I shouldn't say at least, but with Amber Geiger, the jurors who have been interviewed, they did think when they were sentencing that even though she said she intended to kill, that she did make the mistake of ending up in the wrong apartment. Whereas with this prick, with Aaron Dean, I mean, he's been called out to do a welfare check and shot and killed this poor girl. So I don't know, like, will he get a stricter sentence, or has the Amber Geiger sentence set a precedent? Because Mohammed Noor, I was talking about Justine Dumond earlier, the Aussie who was killed in Minneapolis by a police officer, he got 12 and a half years, and even that seemed pretty low, pretty light on. And you can take a step back for it and go, look, the reality is a decade in jail, 12 years in jail. It is actually quite a long time, but it just still seems very lenient. So it'll be interesting to follow Aaron Dean. But I look at him and think, I don't know about you. You look bad news. I wouldn't be surprised if there's information about him being a bit of a trigger-happy idiot already. I don't know. I'm speculating now, but yeah, so Texas, you've lost another innocent person, an Australian, married with 2 children, ages 3 and 1, got woken at about midnight on Wednesday to the sound of a window being broken, gets out of bed, goes downstairs to investigate, confronts the 2 men in his home, and they shoot and kill him. And he did not have a gun. And now his wife and children are without a father and a husband. I agree, Kylie. And you know what? I really respect America for their life sentences. Life does mean life over there. Whereas, as you know, here, they get 25 years and then they get out in 20 for good behaviour. Life doesn't mean life here in the sentencing legislation, but I do like that about the States, that if you get life, you are locked up for life. Hey, Tanny, you might want to unsubscribe and resubscribe. This is my first live on Smooth Criminal Podcast. I can't change the AC/DC logo, but that's cool. I'm cross-promoting. My 2 channels are getting a cross-promotion. I don't know, because it's such a new channel, it's only teeny tiny. There's like 40 of you, which I think is super cute. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. There's 6 people watching. If the people that are watching at the moment would like to subscribe and hit the thumbs up, that would be cool. I don't think I've got a thumbs up at all yet. That's a bit grim. Oh, I've got 2. Thank you to those 2 people. So, Tanya, I've just gone live because another Australian has been shot and killed in the States. In North America. I actually need to change my header. It's not correct. I don't know if I can do it while I think if I go back, I'll actually, hang on. Nope. There's a share screen button. Works better with 2 monitors. Cool. All right. I don't have 2 monitors. I'm sure you can do it with that. Now we have 7. The sentencing laws, that's another interesting topic as well. But I've just gone live, Tanny, because Brenton Estorffe, a guy from the Sunshine Coast living in America, married with 2 little kids, had a home invasion the other night in Texas where they lived, and he got up to investigate, and there were 2 men in his house. He confronted them and they shot and killed him. And just after Tatiana Jefferson, both of them, Joshua Brown, a lot of stuff going on in Texas. I mean, I'd love to speak to a Texan about their gun laws, because they've got this castle doctrine state or stand your ground state where they can have concealed and open carry guns, compared to other states where perhaps you can't have open carry. I wonder if anyone's done research on why there are more gun crimes in certain states. But Texas is having a really bad rap, really bad time. But this story is just horrible. Yeah, 29-year-old, now his wife is widowed, and his 3-year-old and 1-year-old are without their dad, who, from what I can see, I mean, obviously it's his father and his brother. Of course they loved him, but from the way he's been described, it sounds like he was a great guy. He moved from Queensland to the US in 2011 to play American football and study at South Virginia University. Married an American girl who, bless her, after the gunshots rang out in their house, rang 911 to say that, something was going on. He had already called the cops about the break-in and was waiting for them to arrive, but unfortunately came into contact with these two guys who shot and killed him before the police had arrived. But then you imagine this poor woman, she's probably woken up to hearing the gunshots and called 911, not realising that her husband's been shot and killed downstairs. It's just horrible. I'll jump over to another article, see if there's any more news. I don't know how to pronounce. Oh, hang on. Here we go.
Brenton had a young...
All right, I don't know how loud this is going to come through, but I'll just play this. It's on the Australian ABC website, not the US one, but it looks like the sheriff speaking on the shooting.
Brenton had a young man, a young wife, and 2 beautiful children. And he, of course, woke up and confronted 2 individuals in his living room, at which point in time he was shot and killed. They took a young man's life. We now have a grieving widow and a mother of 2 wonderful children that are going to have to raise those children on her own. And the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office will stop at nothing to identify these individuals, apprehend them, and bring them to justice. We're going to do everything we can to identify these individuals, to provide comfort to the family. Neighbors and residents of Fort Bend County have reached out to me, asking me what we can do for the family.
I'll jump back into chat. Could you hear that? Oh, it was good volume. Awesome. That's handy to know. That's great, because I think audio sometimes is better than, you watch a video that's been in a live stream and they buffer a lot. They get a little bit shabby and irritating to watch. So, yeah, I hope that they find them too. I mean, it sounds like there's CCTV footage from the street. The police are focusing on the car that was seen speeding away. So with a bit of luck, they've got the license plate, the description of the car, and they're onto them. I mean, they're not releasing any more information. That's fairly standard that they don't put more information out there, because obviously it can give the pricks who did this a tip-off of where the cops are with their investigation. But I hate to say it, but it's quite possible that car was also stolen. That seems to be a common thing when you're committing crimes like these. They think the motive was burglary based on a couple of articles I've read now, but nothing was taken from the home. So that's, the 3rd Australian let's say the 4th Australian in 4 years in North America, including Canada, to have been shot and killed. But a couple of them very recently. I mean, we only had Lucas Fowler killed in Canada, what was that, 2 months ago, with the boys that were on the run. Justine Dumond was back in 2015. Oh, sorry, no, Chris Lane was 2015. I think Justine Dumond was 2016. So, yeah, there's another case to follow. Yeah, the Brenton Estorffe, it's near Houston. One report said it's a town called Katy, Katy, and another one refers to Fort Bend County. So is Katy, hang on, we're talking Katy, Fort Bend County, Texas, but it's near Houston. So which part of this county is Katy in? Let me have a look at a map. Let's see. But I'm pretty sure I read that its nearest sort of big city is Houston, just west of Houston. is Katie in Fort Bend County. I just saw another comment too further up about Beth M. We need a citizen review board. I'm going to make a note of that and have a look into that too. I mean, ideally, I'd love to have people jump up and chat if you feel up to it. I'm happy to drop a link if you'd like to chat about that, Beth, because that's not familiar to me at all, a citizen review board, like what their role is and how they would look at these crimes and so on. But, yeah, to answer your other comment, you've got the message that it was near Houston. So it's really sad. But it'll be the first case that I follow from start to finish on Smooth Criminal. Like I said, I do have an update. I've got quite a lot of updates to do on both Joshua Brown and on Tatiana Jefferson, but I think I'll be doing them on Sunday around the same time as now. I've got a bub pool of my lives and so on with the Tatiana Jefferson and Joshua Brown over to this channel as well, because I'm going to put all my crime stuff in this spot. The funny stuff, like the Smooth Criminal podcast, which is funny stuff. If you haven't had a listen to it yet, it's uploaded. I was so excited because they publish my podcast every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. and I'm on a few different platforms. I've really got to do some research and find out where they are because I couldn't find it anywhere on Apple. But apparently Apple Podcasts are really strict. Like there's no guarantee they'll put you up. They've got to like it. So that's a bit scary. But of all the platforms, the one that they uploaded to the fastest was YouTube. And I think the formatting looks fantastic. So if you want to have a look at my uploaded videos after this, when I finish this, have a look at how they formatted it, like the people I'm using to upload my podcast onto. I was pretty excited. It's called Pippa. I love them. I love what Pippa are doing. Tony wants to address the home invasions, what we can't do here. Yeah, thanks, Kylie, the banana one. Thank you. I've got a really kooky theme for this week coming up. In the podcast, I did say I'm up for suggestions, but I already had the first 4 episodes scheduled because I wasn't confident I was going to get a suggestion really quickly. And also I want to target different demographics. So my second one is a very deliberate demographic target. And then the third one is Halloween. It'll be Halloween themed. I'm being secretive about this week for a reason. Well, not for a reason, but that's just Smooth Criminal style, is that you don't find out till the day it's uploaded. But there will be a Halloween themed one the following week. But you might be surprised what the crimes are involving. So any kind of holiday type thing in the first year of Smooth Criminal, there'll be a Christmas version episode as well. But at my planned episode 4, actually, I probably will keep it the same because someone sent me an idea for a theme before I even launched the podcast. So she is technically next in line. But yeah, so episodes 4 and 5, I'm already going down a road where what do you call people who listen to your podcast? Your listeners have suggested. But I've also researched about 97 different topics. So I've already got at least one case on about 97 topics. So that was cool because I got sent a really funny story and I'm like, oh, my God, this is almost identical to another one I've got. And then my other friend sent me a topic and I already had a story on that. But then she sent me these like hilarious crimes. So I'm really excited about it. It's fun. I tried to make the bananas one sound really piss weak, Kylie, because when you get into a podcast and you follow it and you love it, if you go back and listen to the very first episode, the first episode of pretty much every podcast I love, not that they were really bad, but they're so bad compared to the way they are now. So I did kind of over-edit it a bit and mucked around with a little bit. Ideally, what I want to do is do it in one hit. I want it to become a podcast. I might insert some music or sound effects, but I basically want it to be a podcast that's recorded in one hit. So if I make errors like I did with bananas, rather than edit them out, I'll leave them in there and take the piss out of myself. What about my keyboard? Wait till you hear the different versions of Smooth Criminal I can play on my keyboard. It's ridiculous. You're going to get treated to, Smooth Criminal tango style, on the drums, as a sound effect. I've got never-ending ways to play the Smooth Criminal theme. I'll do different parts of the song too, though. So, next week it might be the "You've Been Hit by a Smooth Criminal" bit. Built-in bloopers. Yeah, well, Tanny, the two that I left in Smooth Criminal, one was because I started doing the little, promotion of follow me here, there, and everywhere. I hadn't written down notes at all. I was just doing it off the top of my head. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I haven't thought this through. And then the other one was when I said CCC TV, CCC, and it's not me. I didn't make it skip that way. That's legitimately how I said it. Unbelievable. Couldn't do that again if I tried. I was impressed with that one. But, oh, cool. And I've made a note too for that other topic, Tanny, about home invasions here because, yeah, we've got a very different situation here with home invasions. But this Brenton Estorffe's interesting because he wasn't armed. He didn't have a gun. He just went downstairs and they shot and killed him. I think it's good not to think things through because I think with a podcast, for me, I like it in a conversation format. And because I'm doing it on my own, which is a little bit uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to do my best. If I can track down at least one person whose crime makes it into one of my shows to ask them about it, that's my goal, basically. So my research isn't just finding funny stories. It's actually finding the culprits, if I can. So it'll be nice to have people join me on it from time to time, but because it's only a really short podcast, I think it's okay that it's just my voice. I think if I do an interview, it might be more like a 15, 20-minute episode, but I don't ever want to go over 20 minutes. That's another Smooth Criminal thing because I've got podcasts that I listen now, but some of them are pushing 3 hours long. It's a bit like YouTube, we all discovered creators on YouTube that used to be really sharp, short and shiny, and now they're doing like 8-hour lives. Are you kidding me? Who can listen to a live for 8 hours or 3 hours? Yeah, not my cup of tea. So anyway, that's basically the sad news breaking out of Texas. Probably was in the news yesterday, but I only discovered this story this morning. I will be following this case with interest. Obviously, the Australian connection makes it particularly interesting, but that doesn't mean I'm losing interest in the Joshua Brown or the Tatiana Jefferson one. They're just way more advanced with information. And rather than me wanting to do videos on those two crimes and updating you on every single fact, I actually want to open up forums for discussion on certain issues that we can hone in on rather than me just reeling off all the facts, which is why I take notes from chat, like I have now with this citizen review board with Beth's comment. I'm really keen to look into that. Tanny's suggestion. And I'd happily open the link now, but I've got so much to do today. I've got a car to basically empty out, clean, detail, repack. I've got a report to do, and I've also got a gathering with some friends later on today. So, and I've just got back from a work trip, got washing, I've got heaps of stuff. I know if we go live, I can't believe it's already midday. But I know if we go live, we'll be live for 2 hours. And I'm happy if anyone wanted to call in with Texas on this particular topic. If we had a Texan that had rolled in, and Beth was around. Where's she gone? And it's not an intimidating channel. I don't think I've had more than 7 people watching this at any point. So I kind of like this, I have to say. I mean, I don't get many more than that on my other channel, but I like this as a little quiet corner of the YouTubes that not many people have discovered yet. But in terms of the podcast being uploaded, I think you guys will always get it first. It's 7 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time in Australia, that it gets uploaded, because I kind of liked the idea of a hump day podcast, and I like the idea of people being able to listen to it while they're driving to work or whatever, and it's only 10 minutes long. Although someone berated me and went, no, I like listening to podcasts on my way to work. You should go for an hour. It's like, nope, not just me on my own. I'd rather have a bit of fun. I can't believe, though, I spent all day making that episode. It took a whole day and it's 10 minutes long. It's a lot of work. It's fun, though. So if anyone has any other things they'd like to say, hit those thumbs up, Groovers, if you haven't already. I don't know who the lurkers are that haven't said hi. 3 thumbs up and 6 people watching. That's harsh. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy your Fridays and your Thursday evenings. Very sad news, though. Another fatal shooting in Texas. And I'll keep you updated. I'll be doing the other Tatiana Jefferson and the Joshua Brown updates on Sunday. I'll be doing them separately. I want to keep my videos and my lives to one topic. And then I'm making notes of some other things that we can chat about as well. And if anyone else has any, thanks, Tanny, for your thumbs up. If anyone's got any other questions, I think we've covered the details pretty much of what's come out so far regarding the murder of Brenton Estorffe, a 29-year-old Australian man from the Sunshine Coast, married, 2 children, aged 3 and 1, who confronted 2 intruders and unfortunately was shot and killed after confronting them. It's just, actually, I'm just going to the Daily Mail. They always seem to have bit of extra. I mean, have a listen to this. Daily Mail, good heavens. They're the online tabloid, really, aren't they? From NFL dreams to dead in a hail of bullets. They don't hold back on the dramatic titles. I'm just having a quick look to see if there's anything else that they've got that we don't know already. We do know quite a bit. I think the cops have definitely got details of the car, and I think they're onto it. I think it's terribly sad that a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old are now without a dad, and his American wife is now widowed. They look like the most gorgeous family. His wife's absolutely stunning. He looks like a typical lovely Aussie kind of chap. Oh, there's a photo of her pregnant. Apparently the neighbour that ran into the home tried to resuscitate him. Bless. Oh, and she's lovely too. I just saw a clip of her on a video that's looping. The car sped off after the shooting. It happened very quickly. Like I said, the photos of the house with the Halloween decorations sort of made it even a bit more sort of gruesome because of what's now happened in that house. It's unfortunate timing. Apparently he was also a personal trainer. He played 1 season of college football at Southern Virginia. Oh, this is saying Southern Virginia University. The other website said South Virginia. So, sorry, I've obviously got one wrong on one occasion. I don't know which one is correct and which one isn't. Southern Virginia University. Google's the best, isn't it? He also studied a finance degree at Sam Houston State University in Huntsville, Texas, just an hour's drive from where he'll be shot dead years later. Then he met his wife. They settled down in Katy near Houston, west of Houston, got a job as an assistant manager at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Described as a lovely person. I can't even imagine what his wife is going through right now. This is the neighbour. And she did say that, yeah, there's crimes from time to time in the area, but a fatal shooting was a surprise. And she said it's the sort of neighbourhood where you leave your doors unlocked, at your house. So, yeah, terribly sad news. Texas, I feel for you in not having a good year. Hi, old woman. Police have killed over 700 people so far this year. Is that in Texas alone, or is that America total? I've got a horrible feeling that's Texas alone, right? Just sliding my door shut. It's getting really cold here. Give me a second. And now I've knocked a pot over. That's all right. Another job for the day. Country. 700 in the country. Okay. 700 shot by police. I did have a look at the statistics for people that have been shot in Texas by police. I think it was 7 this year when I was looking at a Tatiana Jefferson the other day, and they were all justified in a way, in terms of the people that were shot and killed were brandishing weapons and pointing guns at the cops. I mean, there was one guy that went a bit crazy at home. His family called the police for a welfare sort of check. He was brandishing a gun, but then later on came out of the house holding a flashlight, or what we would call a torch in Australia, and he got shot dead. But leading up to that, he'd been waving, 7 in Fort Worth, Texas, and in the last 6 months, yeah. And there was only the one, I think, that they weren't fatal. There was one person who was shot but not killed. But even justified versus unjustified, like those ones that I talked about the other day, they were all pretty hardcore, the people that got shot, the things that they were doing. But then you have like a Tatiana Jefferson, and it was completely out of control. And same with Amber Geiger, just went way too far. And whatever happened to that old-fashioned shoot a gun into a ceiling to kind of make something stop, Like, it just is pretty scary. But anyway, it's pretty sad news, and my heart goes out to the mother and the wife and the 2 little children, and also his father and brother who are in shock. His brother, interestingly, already lives in Texas as well, but his father is making plans to fly to the States from Australia. But, yeah, his brother Coben also lives in Texas. Got a few Aussies in Texas. I was going to say I've got one less now. That's probably a bit too soon to make a comment like that. But I get angry about these stories. This is just heartbreaking. And looking at the photo of him with his wife and their little kids, the chances of either of those children remembering their father, the 3-year-old, might have some memories. My mum died when my niece was 3, and Jemima remembers a little bit about mum, but she can't tell now. She's in her 20s. She doesn't know now if her memories are we reminded her of mum and talked about mum a lot when she was little, or whether they're her own actual memories. But that little 1-year-old, never going to know her dad. I'm sorry if I said mum before. I was thinking about my mum and probably said mum when I meant to say dad. But that's heartbreaking. And it's heartbreaking, too, to think of his wife waking up to gunshots and calling 911. And this guy, Brenton Estorffe, had already called the police, but unfortunately was shot and killed before they arrived. And then the wife wakes up hearing the gunshot and calls 911. It's just horrible. Not a good story, but that's unfortunate, isn't it? I mean, that's for those of us who follow true crime. This is what we talk about. Exactly, Kylie, a warning shot. And I agree with you, Tanny. If people are pointing guns and so on, I mean, that's sort of, my feeling was the right to bear arms. And I have to go back and research it again. But when I studied it a couple of years ago, because I took on some gun people in America on Twitter, the whole point of that was so people could defend themselves against rogue government officials waving guns around. It's like in Australia when you were talking earlier, Tanya, and we will do a topic on it. But if you owned a gun and had a license to own a gun in Australia, and trust me, not many people do, but if you do, and somebody breaks into your house brandishing a cucumber and you shoot them dead, you're in big trouble, because that's not adequate self-defense. Like, well, I don't mean adequate. It's over the top self-defense. Like, your weapon has to sort of match the other weapon. And if it doesn't, you're in a lot of strife. So that'll be a good topic for us to cover one day, Tanny, for sure. You can remember your grandfather who died when you were 1. Well, hopefully this little girl will remember her dad. I don't have any memories from being 1. So, you know, everyone's different, I guess. But 3 and 1, to lose your dad at that age, it's just heartbreaking. Although a girlfriend of mine whose husband died just before her daughter turned 1, she sort of kept her husband alive in her daughter's memories as well. But she said in a way it was, it sounds weird saying this, but in a way it was easier for her because her daughter wasn't grieving the way that she was. So she sort of was able to go through her own grieving process, but also her daughter kind of kept her spirits up because she was a funny little kid. And I don't think any age is great to lose your parents, but you're going to at some age. But I just feel for this family, like this woman has lost her husband and the 2 beautiful little kids. I did have their names somewhere. I think it was Eliana and I can't find it now. I had the names of the kids in one of the articles I read. Not this one by the looks of it. The Guardian, I think it was. They named the children. I'm pretty sure the daughter's the 1-year-old and there's a 3-year-old boy. And now I can't find them. And in the event, it's neither here nor there, but I think the little boy was 3 and the little girl's the 1-year-old. And in fact, it is, because there's a photo of her pregnant Brenton Estorffe's holding his son, and she's pregnant, obviously, with the daughter. Gosh, it's sad. It's really sad too, this whole gun thing, these children that are exposed to it. I mean, like Tatiana's nephew being in the room with her when it happened. I hope there's good, counselling services for children who witness graphic crimes like this, because that would really fuck with your head. Maybe it's the ABC article. I'm not going to switch off until I found their names. It's bothering me now. The researcher in me needs to know. Yeah, the neighbourhood's completely on edge now, understandably. I mean, it's bad enough that you know that there's been a break-in. I mean, it's horrible when someone breaks into your house, but you know, when there's a break-in in your street, you get very paranoid and so on. And that's just someone breaking in and stealing some stuff. This is next level terrifying with a murder involved. The researcher in me is getting a little bit frustrated. I can't find it unless I've taken the names of the kids out now. But the little girl was Ileana. Still going. I'm going to find it. I'm determined. Back to the Daily Mail, the tabloid that puts all the information out there before it should. You guys might have heard it and you've already put the names in chat and I'm over here looking it up. But, yeah, no, I can't see it there either. I wonder if they've edited it out. Anyway. Just going to scroll back through your chats before I sign off. You can remember being 3. I can too, Tanny. It is unusual. A woman that's amazing. Kylie has a cast iron skillet that would do some damage to an intruder. Absolutely. See you, old woman. Hopefully you're on the way with your grandson needing a ride home. You don't have guns personally, Kylie. Neither do I. I never would. But you know, people do hold gun licenses in Australia. Not many, but you can have a gun with a license, but pretty strict rules, as you know. And correct, Tanya, you could still be in trouble if you did damage with your cast iron skillet. Same if it's a toaster. You've been lectured, Tanny. Mum, you can't do that. But, yeah, it's essentially the weapons have to match. So if someone breaks into your house holding a cucumber and you blow their brains out with a gun, you're in a lot of trouble. That's in a very simplistic way I'm describing it, but that's essentially what the rule is. They're not going to find you're shooting somebody and killing them justified if they are in your house waving a cucumber in your face. All right, well, sad news. I will obviously be keeping an eye on this story as any updates come through. Sunday morning, I will be doing the updates too. I'm going to do 2 separate lives, one on the Joshua Brown murder and then onto a Tatiana Jefferson with updates. Not like I said, I will do some factual updating, but more just some questions that I think both of these cases are raising. In particular, the Joshua Brown one, there's just some really weird stuff going on there, and that's very much a police corruption sort of discussion I'd like us to have, especially going back and looking at what Botham Jean's mother said outside the court. And I said the other day, you know, we all focused on the act of humanity of Botham Jean's brother hugging Amber Geiger in court, where we really should have been paying attention to the speech that his mother gave about police corruption. I'm really interested. That's the angle of Joshua Brown's case that I'm really interested in. And interestingly, with Tatiana Jefferson's murder, there's also talk of police corruption in Fort Worth. You might remember I talked about how their police chief was removed after an incident that seems to have been blown way out of proportion. So that sort of does cross over into her one. But with hers, I'm very interested in us having a chat about the Amber Geiger sentence and whether that's going to influence the sentence this Aaron Dean guy gets if he is ultimately convicted. I'm thrilled that he's been charged with murder, but I look at him and just think he looks like I thought Amber Geiger looked like bad news when I saw her mugshot. This dude looks next level creepy, scary. And, you know, and talking about the sentencing of including Mohammed Noor, who shot and killed an Australian in Minneapolis, and his sentence of 12.5 years, which seemed very light at the time as well. It seems to be a bit of a dangerous precedent as far as sentencing police goes. I'd love to have your bogan mouth on my channel, Kylie. Correct, that's exactly right. That's how to sum it up, Tanny. It's equal or lesser weapon. I'd love to have your bogan mouth on my channel, Kylie, and I hope you all have a lovely Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I won't be around tomorrow. I've got a doctor's appointment, a funeral, and then I'm going to my brother's house to check out the renovations they're doing at their place. So unless I feel inclined to go live on Saturday night, which I probably won't, Sunday I'm around for the day, and then I've got a barbie to go to that night, and Monday I'm recording the next Smooth Criminal episode, which is halfly written. I've just made up a word. Halfly. But thanks for joining me on the smallest true crime channel on YouTube's. Can't believe I've gone for an hour. Makes a difference, though, when you've got people in chat. But thanks for joining me. And, yeah, it's not my... It ain't my funeral, Tanny. No, I'm just at that age where a lot of my friends... I lost both of my parents before I reached the age of 50. But I remember my mum said to me before she died, when you get to 50, all of your parents' friends start dying. And I've been to a lot of funerals for parents of my friends in the last few years. So it's one of my oldest friends. Her father passed away a couple of weeks ago in New South Wales. He's already been cremated and brought home. It's a bit more of a memorial service and send-off. Interestingly, he was born on the same day as my dad, the 16th of November. So we always had that kind of weird link with our Scorpio fathers. But I love you guys. Stay cool. I was going to say stay groovy, but that's my sign off for AC/DC. Just be careful out there. Don't get hit by a smooth criminal. Chat soon, everyone. Take care.